Hey, so today on the podcast, I've got Andrew Cross. I've gotten to know Andrew a little bit the last few months, and he is killing it in the real estate space in Oklahoma City. But what I know about Andrew is that he loves Jesus, he loves Life Church, he loves his family, loves real estate like I mentioned, and he's now doing some coaching. And he just told me he's doing that because he got bored with everything else. But Andrew, tell us the backstory. Tell us how you got to where you are today. And we'll go into other things from there.
And this really, I actually wanted to start real estate when I was like 12, 13. Okay, so this goes way, way back. So when I first started, my dad had a yard company. And so as soon as he realized we could push a lawnmower, they're self-propelled, so it wasn't like we were actually pushing them. As soon as he figured we can do the handlebars, we were out working with Dad. And so I remember just working my butt off and we're mowing 10, 12 yards a day, me and my brother, my dad. He built up his company. We ended up having about 3 trucks.
OKC?
All OKC, 39th and Penn. Okay. That's where I was born and raised. And we had just all around, all kinds of houses that we mowed. And my dad was a serial entrepreneur, ended up getting into trade clubs, ended up doing all kinds of other fun stuff like that. So I was introduced to all kinds of different business and bartering and things of that nature. But he never really made any money at it. Like he just worked. Like, and of course he made lots of money because he had all this free labor. And he paid us like $20 a week, $30 a week in lunch. And we worked harder than any man out there because Dad required a lot out of us. So he taught us how to work, and it'd be funny. I can't count how many times he'd be out there. He'd hire somebody and be like, "Look, that boy's outworking you. Yeah. Don't let that boy outwork you." And so anyway,
it's one of the greatest gifts you can give your kids. Really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Teaching them how to work, showing them how to work. So he did teach us those things. But anyway, we ended up meeting a guy, Ray Pelfrey. Google him, terrible dude. But he ended up having a lot of real estate, and so we ended up working for him. And I watched him tell my dad what to do, tell us what to do, and whatever. He'd call us. Dad didn't answer the phone after 10 o'clock unless it was Ray. Ray would call him at 11 o'clock at night, and he'd be like, "Boys, get up, we're going to work."
Wow.
Yeah, and so he ended up. Ray was the guy. He'd go buy houses at tax auction.
Okay.
And then he would sell them to my dad for full price, and Dad didn't know what a house was worth, so he was getting $200,000 worth of yard service a year for $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
But my dad was cool because he started buying houses. And so I started watching my dad buy houses. And had another guy, Frank McGuire, who was my young mentor, coach, friend. He had a yard business and he bought houses. So my plan was, as a young kid, I was like, I'm going to start a yard business, make money, and I'm going to buy a house a year. Buy a house in the summertime, fix up in the wintertime when there's no yards to mow, and rinse and repeat. That was my plan. So anyway, I get into, I already knew yard business. So I watched the yard business for years. I'd watch 4 or 5 people build yard businesses. I was ingenuitive. I'd gone out and talked to my dad's friends, and they'd give me like letters on like flyers and marketing plans and all this other stuff. And I kept working with my dad's like, "Dad, look, we can build this business." And he's like, "That's for young people," kind of thing. He just didn't want to do anything. And so, I had a yard trailer, had my stuff, and by the time before I had my car, I had my yard equipment.
Wow.
And so, anyway,
So, were you competitive with your dad?
Do what?
Your dad had a business, and you had a business?
No, I still work for my dad. I didn't have a car, so I like mowed 2 or 3 neighbors' houses and stuff like that. But I did. So in like one yard I had, Dad mowed it, and he took half my money for the gas, kind of thing. That's fine, But anyway, I fast forward. I'm about to graduate and looking at high school, senior year. I start looking around, and I went to a vocational trade. I wanted to learn how to be a carpenter. I watched a carpenter build a room addition in the backyard, and it just fascinated me. This pile of wood became a house. Yeah. So anyway, I started doing that, and then my dad's told me that you can never make money in construction. Like, there's no money in construction. There's nothing there. My shop teacher was like, "Boy, there ain't no money in yards."
Yeah.
He says, "Come on."
Everyone mows yards.
He says, "Come with me." He says, "You're going to work for me tonight." And I'm like, all right. We made $175 changing a hot water tank.
Okay.
I did all the work. He stood behind me, told me what to do. He paid me $25. He put $150 in his pocket. And he says, "Do that 4 nights a week." He said, "How many yards are you going to have to mow to do that?" Time we were paying $25, $30 a yard or something like that. I was like, "That's like 6 yards." He says, "Exactly. Tell me there's no money in construction."
And a water heater's not hard.
A water heater was not hard. And I just fell in love with construction, like making things beautiful, fixing things up. Broke my dad's heart, told him I wasn't going to start a construction company. And my plan was to get into construction and start buying rental properties.
Right out of high school?
Right out of high school. That was the goal. Yeah, right out of high school, I started picking up side gigs. So I had a yard. Some rich lady had like acre and a quarter that was perfectly manicured and landscaped. I'd go over there, work for her, start building pergolas for her, and next thing you know, one thing led to another. And
hey, didn't Chip Gaines start with yards too?
No, I don't know. He might have.
I think so. I think in college he was mowing yards.
Probably.
And then it sounds so similar to your story with working on houses next.
Mm-hmm.
And he had these customers. I mean, he had these guys that worked for him, and he just moved them over to the construction side.
Yep, that's what he did with the construction company years later.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, ended up getting construction and started working for Kent's Construction, and we started building Gaillardia houses.
Okay.
So the deal for Tez the other day, like went to that deal, like that was super cool because I was like, someday I'm going to get to that country club. I don't know how. I'd be standing on the top of these roofs and like, I know, and Gaillardia house is not small, so these would be four stories.
Tall,
we would frame. Typical person frames up a house in like 4, 5, 7 days tops. We'd be there for 6 months.
Yeah.
Building custom staircases in these
Everything's
cathedral.
custom in those.
Oh yeah, cathedral ceilings
Heights.
and you'd be up there, and I'd get up. I was always the guy on the top of the ridge, and I remember just sitting there over the 9th hole in Gaillardia, watching these 4 guys just on the middle of the day. I was like, how in the world are they doing this in the middle of the day? 4 guys spending $100 on the ticket to go play golf with their buddies in the middle of the day. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, I wanted to do something. In the break, best thing ever, I also had my side company. So I was making good money there. I started my business on the side, and I broke my ankle. And so it was really fantastic. Ended up getting unemployment. I couldn't work. Couldn't do anything. I was construction. If you don't have feet, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I immediately had to go hire somebody. And so I ended up hiring this guy, crackhead, that knew all about construction. He taught me all the tricks. It was really great. He ended up becoming my foreman, taught me other tricks that I wish I didn't learn. But long story short there, gotten lots of drugs, lots of stuff. So that took me 10 years off my path because I was on a very good trajectory to get to the point of real estate. Started working on real estate investors' houses. And then I pivoted over to historical homes.
Okay.
And I did that for 10 years. And we did Heritage Hills, Mesta Park. At one point in time, the Parade of Homes went through there, and I had, out of 10 homes, 6 of them were my projects.
Wow.
I might not have done the whole project,
but you had.
And out of those 6, 5 of them I got ready for the Parade of Homes.
Wow.
And so we were just power washing and cleaning up and touch up paint and all those kind of things. I was first name based with the historical preservation inspector over there. He came up to my job sites all the time. I learned back when they had flip phones. I learned to take pictures, before you start a project. But anyway, so I did that for years, and built my company, and with the drugs and all the problems, I was actually getting to the point where I had 800 credit score. Before that, I was really building up my credit. I wanted to start buying houses, and just got off of drugs, and next thing you know, all that went away.
So things are good.
Yep.
You meet somebody.
Yep.
Influence.
Yep.
We'll talk about that maybe. And you get hooked on drugs.
Yep.
And all your dreams, all your intentions, everything you had laid out became a sideline.
Yeah, I mean, it was real. I was just making money.
Yeah.
It was like making money, flipping houses, making money, drinking. The guy at the liquor store down the street called me his favorite customer. Because I always went in with a shopping cart. I never went in with it. I never went in with one deal. I went in with a shopping cart. I had a full service bar. We partied hard. I'm not gonna say we didn't. Had the pool table. I had one of my best friends had 3 DUIs leaving my house. That was the kind of lifestyle we lived.
So what, Andrew? What changed? What changed in your life to get you back out, but clean of drugs? Where was it? Where did that transition happen?
I finally hit like super rock bottom, and I was like literally in my house, which I was renting from my dad, which I hadn't paid rent in months. Had a blanket and had electricity on because I had to have the TV and those kind of things, but had no gas and no water, and so I had like gas heat, and the heater I had underneath the blanket caught on fire.
That's terrible.
And I said, I'm gonna die like this. Not only am I gonna die, I'm gonna burn down my dad's house. And I was already feeling like pile of dog crap because I wasn't paying for rent and wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything. And I knew what my potential was, but I couldn't get out of this. And I remember just looking in the mirror and be like, I don't like you anymore. And I was like, I'm done with these crackheads, all these crackheads around me. I was like, what? And I remember looking in the mirror, I was like, you know better.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing. And it was just getting to the point, I was just getting to the point where I was getting, like, I was still had my values.
Sure.
But I was just getting to the point where my values were really starting to drop. And I wasn't stealing yet, but I was getting close. I wasn't shooting up yet, but I was getting close.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that.
You saw it coming.
Saw that coming. And then my best friend hung himself in my closet.
Wow.
And that was like the low, like watching him, and he was shooting up and doing drugs and all those things. And I don't know, between those two things, this is one of the reasons I'm a coach now, and one of the reasons I focus on self-development. There was a CD that came on, and on the cat radio. I was listening, it was like, are you depressed? Do you have problems? For $19.95, 3 payments of $19.95, we'll give you the set, and we'll teach you how to manage your stuff.
And that's what you did?
I bought the CD set for $19.95. And even better, I never finished paying for that CD set because I literally had $19 in my checking account or whatever. I was able to make the first payment. I couldn't make the rest of the payments. And
what year is this?
Oh shoot, I don't know. This is years ago.
Are you 30?
Huh? Oh no. This is
25?
I'm 22, 23, 24,
Okay.
something like that. I don't know. This is years ago. So all those from like 20 to 30 was just a blur. I couldn't tell you what year or where all this stuff happens because I mean literally it's like a blur.
But somewhere in your mid-20s, you get
Mid
the
20s.
CD set.
Yeah, I get the CD set, and so of course. Little backstory, I was raised in church, super religious, you're all going to hell, you're a dirty sinner kind of church. And so anyway, I wanted nothing to do with it. So anyway, this CD comes on and she starts off with breathing. Just simple things, breathing. And I was like, think of something you're grateful for. It was like getting a warm, comfortable spot. And I'm like, it's 22 degrees in my house. Okay? I almost died the day before. So I just imagine I'm laying here on a couch, pile of blankets, and I finally put a blanket over my head so I can trap the warmth in here because I'm shivering. And finally she said, now just breathe. Be grateful for something. I ain't got nothing, y'all. Like, I ain't got nothing to be grateful. She's like, how about the air you're breathing? I was like, fine, the air I'm breathing. And that's where I started at. And started just teaching these little things. And then she starts like, do you believe in God? And I was like, kind of, not really. Yeah, I believe there is a God, but I was like, I'll make vengeance with him right before I die because he's a vengeful God. No, he's a vengeful. No, not where I came from. He was a vengeful. The whole time he had a rod over your back, just waiting for you to screw up so he could slap you. So that's my opinion of him at the time, and that's why he was portrayed at church, right? So anyway, fast forward. So anyway, she's like, go to a church, and what's funny is I had a friend of mine take me to this church, and it was a mega church. It was not Life. It was a Victory Church.
Okay.
I had a friend of mine take me to this Victory Church, and another friend takes me to the same Victory Church, but they go in the back way. So halfway through the service, the second time, this happened like 6 months or a year earlier. Girl I was trying to date, she takes me there the first time. So of course we go through the kids area because she had a kid. Second time a friend of mine comes, so we go through the back door and we go through the back entrance. Anyway, it wasn't until halfway through the service I'm like, this is the same church.
Really?
Yeah, so they take me to the same church. Anyway, and it was funny because there was a different pastor. Like, I guess I had a guest pastor there or something. So anyway, so I was like, you know what? So she's like doing this meditation thing. She's like, well, go find a place where people are. Don't go and get yourself involved. Just go where they're at. And that was the step. And so I'm going through these steps of how to rejuvenate myself. And I go to church and, things get a little better. And I started doing that. After a crazy weird night, I ended up turning my life over, and that's where everything seriously pivoted over.
At Victoria Church.
At Victory Church over there in Bethany. So anyway, I get over here and I get to hanging out, start going to church and change my life. So the next thing, the pastor next week was like, volunteer. So I started driving golf cart. Hated that. I don't like to drive. Even today, if I could hire, the first thing I'd hire, if I could outsource everything, it'd be my driving. Like, I want a Tesla just so I can hit and not have to do anything. So I'm over here driving around, doing it with the kids. I like the kids, so it was fun. And did that, and I did some other stuff. And then they had a single moms event, which me as a single guy sound like a great event to go to, right? So I go to this single moms event, and I'm going around, hanging around, doing my volunteer thing, and they turn around and was like, Andrew, we really need somebody in the kids. Like, you're already, like, I was background checked. Like, you're already background checked. You go hang out with the kids and go do the kid thing. And I'm like, I really wanted to meet the single moms. And I was like, in my mind, you know, this is just where I was at the time. You know, it was like, I was just imagining them coming out because we're cleaning their cars, watching their kids, doing the pedicure. I was just imagining them coming out and me handing their keys to their clean car or whatever. You know, that was my envision. And they put me here with the kids in the back room.
Boy from the single mom.
Yeah. And so I get over here and I like put me with the kids. And dude, I have a freaking blast. They got a ball pit. They got a full discovery zone. She's like, "Can you come back on Sunday?" So ended up doing that for 5 years, and
that's cool.
End up becoming the kids minister there for 5 years. I ran their 3, 4, and 5-year-old class. I did the 4-year-old. We all came together. I did the hokey pokey on stage and did all that.
That's the best age for kids.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. At Victory Church, later on, I went and did the younger kids, and I was like, I hate this, and I will never do this again. But yeah, it was the greatest. And like we tussled and tumbled, and we went and did stuff, and you know they like let me do whatever I wanted. Honestly, they were at that point in time like, hey, you want to create your own curriculum? Go create your own curriculum. Like, base it around the Bible. Have fun. So anyway, we did that, and I ended up at the same time got involved in a Bible study men's group.
Okay.
And so anyway, I ended up meeting Alan Norton, which I don't know if you've met him.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. And Alan and Mark Miller. And that we were in Bible study together. And Chris Wallace was our small group leader. And it was just a great time. And I remember one time sitting over there and I was like, I always want to get in real estate. And they're like, you can do it. And I was like, not me. And the other guy there, he's like, dude, I'm a 3-time convicted felon. Like, goes through the rap sheet. He's like, if I could do it, you can do it. And I'm like, so anyway, he takes me under his wing, gives me 3 coaching sessions. He's a little 3-time prison guy, okay? So just imagine he's a little abrupt.
Rough, yeah.
And he's like, bring your tax returns. I hadn't filed taxes in 7 years. Like, I'm at this point, okay? That's where I'm at right now. I haven't filed taxes in 7 years. In fact, I filed in 3 years. I found out I hadn't been 7 years. I thought it was 3 years. That's how far back I was. So anyway, ended up meeting these guys, and they just sort of loved on me and introduced me and told me to go to the RIAs. And then I ended up meeting Ron and Angelina Harris, who ended up becoming my real estate coaches. And I was sort of on the fence and so kept playing around, sort of like I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And my wife now, she was like, basically, quit talking about it. Like, are you going to talk about this all the time or do something? And I was like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to a RIA group. And she was like, whatever. And at this time, I'm like educating myself in books. Think You Grow Rich is one of my major books. And she was like, I was like, she just doesn't understand the power of symmetry, of being around people. Mm-hmm. And sort of back deal. So one reason I started the audiobook is because my alcoholic friend who got 4 DUIs leaving my house told me about audiobooks and gave me a CD set on, I don't know, the ancient Greek history or something like that. And so I start consuming. I literally go to the library. Back then don't even know how to use a computer or nothing. I would go to the library, rip them onto an iPod, and I'm just literally like listening to audiobooks all day long.
All the time.
Back before it was cool. Like, back when the library had 6 books, okay? That's all they had, and they were bringing in all these audiobooks for me from all over the country. Think and Grow Rich cost me $96 on audio. So
how's that? Oh, to buy the
CD set. It was that big. Yeah. Think and Grow Rich was that big on CD set. I don't feel like I'm that old, but evidently I'm that old. And so
$96, is that back in like 2000?
2003, 2004.
So that'd be like $500 today.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and so like we created this group. There's like 6 of us together, and we would go buy these CD sets. So anyway, I'm hanging around and I'm doing this, and I remember like right about the same time both these things happened. So I'm talking to my buddy, and I'm like, "Hey, bud, like he just quit his 3rd job for the week or something like that. He's going in getting a job. He'll quit it, and we're drinking all the time." I was like, "Dude, I just realized you're the sum of your 5 best friends." And he was like, I was like, "Dude, you're killing my average." And he laughs. He's like, "No, dude, I'm not killing it. I'm obliterating your average." And I was like, and he thought it was funny. I was pissed.
You were like, peace out.
And that was the last time we hung out, was that day. And we hung out him 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah.
He ended up stealing my Xbox. He'd slept on my couch one more time, stole my Xbox. But when I realized that you were the sum of your 5 best friends, I realized I was already hanging out with I started hanging out with some of these other people and reading these books. So I just started changing my environment.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
And all those books tell you that.
Yeah.
And
but that one book, whatever book I read, evidently it clicked that day.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking at him, realizing, I don't want to be like that.
I don't. I still don't. He called me from jail the other day. I gave him some money on his books and told him good luck. Hope you get out and hope the best for you. Here's $25. Good luck.
Yeah.
But those kind of people. So anyway, these new people that I'm around.
So you got a new circle of influence.
New circle of influence from church.
Getting you involved in real estate.
Yep.
And tell me about your first deal.
So at the same time, of course, God got a hold of me. I'm realizing I need to change my life. So I'm getting married. No longer ready to live in sin anymore, ready to make it legit, So I'm getting married. My girlfriend at the time pays for our real estate coaching because I didn't have enough. It was like $5,000. I was like, if I save for the next 5 months, I can get this thing started. So she pulls money out of her 401k, and so we could get the real estate stuff started. Mm-hmm. And I ended up moving in with her, moving in with my wife, and then got married, and started real estate coaching a month before
Andrew, what year is this?
This is 2013. I know that one. 13. Same as we're moving in, and literally I'm taking my last load over. The May 3rd tornado rips through. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not so bad. She's like, that's the kid's school. That's our house. And all I could think is, I just moved my big screen TV over there. And she said something about the kids. I was like, the kids are in a school. Of course, that's the same school. That's the same time that all those kids died. Not in their school, but in the next school over. So in my mind, I'm like, they're in a great school. They're in a storm shelter. They're safe. So anyway, we get that started. And I'm doing the real estate thing. I'm trying to figure out my way, my path. And I'm literally sitting on my couch. And my wife's ex-mother-in-law is dropping off the kid.
Okay.
So she's dropping off the kid. And she's like, our house got destroyed. I never want to go over there and hear those kids' screams. And all I can hear is motivated seller, motivated seller.
That's what you were thinking.
That's all I could think. And she's like, we're going to go bulldoze it. And I didn't even have the whatever to call her, so I had my wife call her. I was like, hey, let me go look at this house. And so she goes and looks at it, and she's like, it has to be torn out. Well, the rule is if there's 51% of the house, it can be rebuilt. And there's like 70% of the house here. So I ended up getting the thing for like $16,000, $17,000, the lot plus a few grand. And I had learned some negotiating and stuff through it. So we do a clean out on it, end up making 10 grand on that one. Wholesaled it. I was going to actually do it. My coach was like, no, this is a wholesale deal. Wholesale this. I know you have a construction company. Get that fast money. And so I do it. And then I take that money and go invest in some marketing. We do 3 more deals.
What did your coaching cost?
It was I think then it was $3,000. I think they charge 5 now, but I think it was $3,000.
So that one deal paid for it.
Oh, $10,000. Yeah, I didn't even actually. They were working for another company at the time, and I didn't even tell them because 3 months in, I went behind their back and paid for another 6 months of coaching because I didn't want it. Because they said it at some point in time, we're going to cut you loose, and I was afraid they're going to cut us loose because I was like, I want to keep doing this,
and you needed it.
This is working. Yeah, I mean, at the first, I was like, there's nobody going to sell this house for 70 cents on the dollar. And my wife's like, well, let's try what they said, and then if it doesn't work, then we could try something else. And so it works, guys. It works. It really works. So anyway, so we get this deal done, and then we go buy another one. And same thing, flip it.
Did you wholesale that one?
So wholesale that one. It was another one of my wife's friends. So we get 2 deals from my wife's friends from the tornado. They're 100% paid off. They've already made $50,000. They don't want to mess with it anymore. Yeah. And they were super happy to give it to us. So we got it, made another $10,000, $12,000. Did a bunch of marketing, ended up getting 3 more deals under contract, learned all about how to do contracts. Ended up having a lady who had her house, it was boarded up before the tornado and like destroyed. Well, the tornado came through and she got enough insurance money she could get rid of it. And she was ecstatic to get rid of it. So we ended up doing that one. And then like the last one was the one on Avery Street. That we're working on, and I was going around and I couldn't get anybody to give me my price for it. And I was like, this house, I was trying to get a $15,000 wholesale fee on it. And I just couldn't get the thing sold. And everybody kept wanting to give me like a $3,000 wholesale fee. And I was like, I looked at my coach and I was like, this is a deal. Like, I see it. Like,
you know the numbers.
I know the numbers. I know what it needs. And they're like, it needs a new roof. And I was like, no, it needs half a roof. Like, from what I'm looking at, like half the roof was destroyed. Half the house was destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, I could do some repairs on this. I pulled back the siding. I looked at the vinyl siding. There was siding underneath that vinyl siding. So I was like, I can rip this off. We can paint this. I knew what to do with this house. So anyway, we ended up buying it. So couldn't find the financing. Kruger Investments. Thank you, Jim Kruger. Kruger Investments. They gave us their first loan. It was 12% interest, 10 years, and it was $717. It was $717.73 a month. I remember that because I made that payment for 6 months out of my own pocket, and it was the most brutal payment I ever made.
That was hard.
That was hard. Oh yeah, and I had the construction company.
And you were questioning what you were doing the whole time.
No, I was excited. The real estate investor is the only one. I had $30,000 set aside.
Okay.
A real estate investor is the only one that'll be excited to spend $30,000 on the house to get the $200 investment return. Like, we're the only people out there. Like, we're insane. There's something wrong with us. But I got my house. So at this point in time, I bought my own house with my own marketing, got my own money, and now I'm doing my own rehab with my own crews. Unfortunately, I wish I would have continued wholesaling. I should have continued wholesaling because I need more money.
Yeah.
But I just literally put on a tool belt and I went to work, and I was there from 5 a.m. till the sun came down. We never stopped. My guy's truck broke down halfway through. They ended up having to drop me off at the house and taking my truck back home because they had like 5 guys that lived out in Hera. So like we were down to 1 truck between 6 guys, like all kinds of stuff. I learned about gas lines. And guess what? During a tornado, all the gas lines get rattled, so they all come loose.
They do?
Yeah, I found that out.
That's weird.
Yeah, the house shakes. So all those gas lines start coming loose. So we didn't have one, I figured 1 or 2 gas leaks. Like 38 gas leaks in this place. Like we're just going through and like we ended up tearing up the whole house. Like I planned on just doing a little texture work. We ended up like just 2 stories. So of course we go through the whole, cut out all these stuff.
So how much did you blow your budget by?
Oh, about $15,000. Yeah, it was about $15,000. Ended up having to do another wholesale deal. Long story behind that, ended up getting this wholesale deal because I didn't have enough money for the air conditioning system. And I thought I could keep it working. It was destroyed.
Yeah.
And so anyway, fast forward, took me another 5 months to rent this house. Because every time somebody come to rent my house, a landlord would be 2 doors down, have a brand new construction house because their house got destroyed by the tornado. So I was competing with brand new construction. Yeah. Mine's remodeled nice, but you can't compete with brand new.
Yeah.
And so one after another, like I'm renting this thing, and we're just having every single problem. We've lowered prices, we've done all kinds of things to it. Anyway, it's $717.73 a month, plus insurance, it's hard. And so anyway, finally get a tenant in there. It was $1,300 a month or something like that. And that first check was the best check I ever received in my life. And so bought a second house, and that one was like $250 a month. It was like a $30,000 house. It was so nice because the first payment made the second payment. Mm-hmm. And then the tenants moved out, and they tore it up, and I realized I don't want a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage, 2,400, it was like 2,400 square feet house. Like it was a big house. And the 2-year-old drew from here down on the whole house. And fortunately, it had I put vinyl plank in the whole house. But all I was thinking is, if I would have done carpet in this, I would be replacing another $2,000 or $3,000 in carpet. Get that other one rented, and I'm like, talking to my wife, I'm like, babe, I want to go buy these smaller houses. She's like, I want to buy 3 2s and more. I was like, you'll never have to look at it. Never have to look at it. Never look at these now make much better sense. So we sold that one. We ended up making $90,000 on that flip on that house. Because not only had the marketing jumped up almost $20,000 in value because of all the new construction around it, so that went up $20,000 plus my rehab plus the wholesale deal and everything. So it ended up being $90,000. We turned that 1 into 4 and just been going ever since.
Snowball from there. So talk to me for a little bit. So you've obviously figured out the BRRRR, construction, buying, all that. You're into coaching now. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? How long have you been doing that, and what's your reason behind all that, other than?
I got bored. Honestly, I was looking at doing either a couple different things. I've always wanted to do coaching. I'm working on I'm working a couple books. I got a journal put together. So it's a freedom journal on how to free up your time in real estate and how to actually get focused. And so this is a journal that I use for all my my guys. It's a workbook, more of a workbook than a journal. In fact, I'm going to call it the workbook from now on. I like that. So it's the workbook, and then it's a daily workbook, and then I've got my 100 days, my 100 deal book. And so we've got those two put together. And it was like, I used to go to coaching. I've been in coaching my entire life. I feel like I'm good at it. I've spent we did the math the other day, I've spent $230,000 on education over the last 10 years. And that's
just curious.
Yes.
If you were to put a dollar amount to what that has made you, is it 4, 5, 10?
It's made this. Y'all, I mean, what?
Well, and
how much is your left arm worth? Tell me. I mean, it's $100 million. I mean, the whole thing is, it doesn't matter.
Well, and that's where I was going to go next, Andrew, is if I took all your houses from you for whatever reason, the $230,000 you invested in yourself.
As long as you don't hit me in a shovel when you do it, and we're fine.
You could go rebuild like that because of the investment into yourself. And that's what people don't realize a lot of times. They're too cheap to invest in themselves. I mean, you talked about audible books. I love Audible. I struggle with reading. I'm a slow reader. I don't comprehend real good. I can do it. But when I found out about audiobooks, it was a whole new world to me.
Blew everything up. Everything up.
And I have no idea what my dollar amount is on myself. It's not that high. But if we were to take everything from you and make you start over, you could blow it up again because of the headspace you have and the knowledge and what you've put into yourself. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so a lot of times, I joke with people like, you're not paying Andrew a coach, you're paying Andrew that spent $230,000. I have $230,000 worth of tools in this head.
Yeah.
I have $230,000 worth of books and seminars, Tony Robbins events.
How many Tony Robbins events have you been to?
I've done UPW 5 times. We've done Date with Destiny live once, virtual once, and then we did money, like 3 of the money ones and the relationship one. So
a bunch, about a dozen.
Yeah, a dozen. I'm trying to get through all of them right now. I want to get through all of them. Right now, I have a Tony Robbins coach for the year. So I have once a week coaching call with them, all about. I've always got a coach. I just finished with Ray Sanders. Love that guy. He's a CEO coach. Just taught me a lot about how to run a business, how to do stuff. He's a coach, and he likes helping coaches coach. So he helped me get my coaching business and sort of like pricing and value and those kind of things, like what you're going to do. So I worked with him for a year, and then now I got this new coach I'm working with. So I'm always looking for somebody. I always tell people I'd have a 6-pack if I had a coach. But I just never hired a 6-pack coach.
Did you never hired a fitness coach?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's all you got to do. I mean, if you spend the money and spend the time with it, and if you're hanging around a guy who's shredded, then you're going to get shredded. I mean, it happens. If you hang around with fat people, you're going to get fat. What do they say? If a woman in her friend group gets pregnant, the likelihood of her going up and getting pregnant goes up like 30% or something like that. I'm making up those numbers, but it was very high.
It's legit.
It's high. It's high.
Yeah.
I watched it. My niece had a baby, and we got 3 babies on the way in our family.
Yeah.
We were like, everybody's like, oh, we're done. Got a baby. Now my sisters are having babies, so they got 3 brand new babies in the family.
Mrs. comes home and says, "Honey, I want a baby."
Yeah.
That one. It's awful cute.
Yeah. And let's face it, we have a hard time telling our wives no.
He says, "All right, well, we can work on that."
We can try.